Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We are in beautiful, gorgeous, always sunny Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. And I think we have something fun and adventurous for you today, like we always do, right? Because today on the show, we're going to explore what Amy and I are effectively calling Utah's Wild Corridor. That's the stretch of Scenic Byway 12 that connects Bryce Canyon National Park and goes through the little small towns of like Cannonville, Tropic, Boulder, Escalante, and eventually you reach the threshold of Capitol Reef National Park. We did all kinds of hikes. We even did a UTV ride with Rome Outdoor Adventure Company. And a little bit later in the show, we're going to chat with Noah Ellis, who is the CEO of Ofland Escalante, to talk about why this rugged little corner of Utah keeps drawing people back again, and again. I mean, Amy, you and I think proximity-wise, Vegas is only a few hours from southern Utah and all the playland. And I think Zion gets its lion's share of attention. And of course it should. It's a beautiful place that you can go, but a couple hours north of that, on the other side, almost essentially of Zion, is Bryce Canyon. And we've chatted about Bryce Canyon. We've had an entire show about it. You can go back and look it up, Apple Podcasts, cheap plug. Even Scenic Byway 12, we've talked about Highway 89 that kind of connects all of these wonderful places together. But this little area of Utah that is actually Garfield County, it's that, and it's all kind of encompassing in this area. It draws visitors from around the world. And I think partly it's because of social media. Partly it's because of they do have some incredible views and vistas and adventures to be had out there. But for us personally, I mean, we've now gone back to southern Utah many, many times. When there's other places we could go, it keeps pulling us back to these areas.
Yeah, I really think it's one of those places that doesn't feel like anywhere else on Earth. With the beautiful red rock formations, you have slot canyons. As you said, there's waterfalls. There's even alpine forest. If you're driving this Scenic Byway 12 from Bryce Canyon National Park to Capitol Reef, you're hitting so many different things. It doesn't feel like it should all be within 100 miles of each other.
Right.
And I think social media has done a lot to popularize this space, but even there, you only see bits and pieces of it. You only see those people standing on the beautiful red rock arch, backlit in their hiking boots, acting like they're all fancy. And you're like, you've probably never hiked a day before in your life. But once you get out there, you realize it's so much more than that. And I had never been to this part of southern Utah before. I think a lot of people, as you said, go to Zion and then they kind of skirt around this and go maybe over to Arches National Park. This is that area in between. And I was very pleasantly surprised with how much there was to do there, especially with it being a lot of little bitty kind of farming towns, which I also found surprising.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the towns are a little bit small. I know some of them kind of flow with the seasons and everything, which is appropriate, but it really is. I mean, you do have this idea. I mean, obviously this corner of the world has been popular way before Facebook and things like that came along. But I think social media has now taken it to a different level. I think the tourism departments of like Utah have done a very good job of really marketing what it is and what it isn't. Being very careful to not let people pretend that it isn't anything but untamed out here almost.
Right.
Because like you saw and I saw driving around, there were so many paths and roads that just turn right into gravel and then go right into like dirt just off the road.
Yeah.
And it wasn't private land. All of this, like most of it, a good portion of it is public land, between the national parks and then the Grand Staircase monument area and everything, which you could just, how many times did we roll by somewhere and there were just like 3 or 4 cars just parked off somewhere, and you could tell there's a trail that goes off, but it's not on any kind of
it's a lot of
brochure or anything else.
Backcountry hiking.
Yeah.
Hiking, we did see a lot of like formal trailheads just randomly off the main road, or signs saying, this way to this trailhead. And they're not part of a national park or a state park. It is just trails that people have kind of forged. But then there was a lot of times, as you said, people would just be parked on the side of the road, and you could tell they kind of just like grabbed their gear and was like, I'm just going to hike out in this direction and see what I see. And I think that's the beauty of this area, is there's so much that you can go explore. And there's, I don't want to say there's not rules, but they're very open to people getting out and exploring. They encourage it.
Yeah.
They want you to get out on these trails. They want you to go see this country. I mean, there were signs everywhere for overlooks and scenic drives, and as we said, more trails. So it very much encourages people to get out and explore.
And it's not catered to just one level of adventure or outdoors person. It's not just for the hardcore backpackers or the people that love to go canyoneering and I'm going to scale this rock.
It's not us. As much as we'd like it to be.
I like to watch people do that. Like, it's all over my TikTok, but like, I don't do it. But it's also for people who just want a little light adventure. Or, I want an easy trail down to a waterfall or some natural arches, like you mentioned in the sandstone, or, these little areas. Or even if you don't want to do that, there's all kinds of companies out there that cater to people who like to rent UTVs or rent kayaks, and go down the river, or all kinds of stuff that you see if you start going down that path. And I keep mentioning social media, not because I'm trying to plug social media, but because I think it's brought it to a new generation of people, new generation of outdoors folks looking for that travel adventure without necessarily having to go somewhere extreme or whatever.
Right.
Like, this is for like people that are on the West Coast, this is like almost right in your backyard, no matter where you are.
But I think people from all over the world are really coming to this area. I mean, you and I saw it. A lot of people in the Cruise America RVs were in the area. And we frequently, when we travel in the U.S., run into people from other countries. But it seems like this area, I would say upper Arizona, southern Utah, we always run into more Europeans there than anything else. And I think it is because they don't have anything like this scenically in their countries. I
mean, the red rock stone and things like that is pretty common in this part of the country is certainly unique, and the cliffs and everything. It's like a different planet all the time. So like, we started our adventure off just picking different road. What was the name of that road? Hole in the Wall? Was that Hole in the Wall road?
Hole in the Rock road.
Hole in the Rock road. We just kind of found a little piece of it, and we were like, you know what? We don't have a 4x4 machine, but we are going to go check out this road and just start. I mean, there's all kinds of, like you said, trailheads that just pop off of this road.
Yeah.
That you can make an easy day hike out of. That you can just.
Yeah. And we turned on that road because we said it was a scenic drive, which it's a very long road. And we maybe only got about halfway, and we're like, you know what? I think we don't want to spend the entire day on this scenic road. But we did try to stop at one of we didn't know what it was. It said Zebra Canyon. And we were like, let's stop. But they were actually doing construction right there at the parking lot. So we couldn't really turn at the parking lot. But we ended up talking to somebody later who said he had just hiked it, and that was his favorite hike. He did, but it's actually a slot canyon. And I know someone else who was there the week before us who did it and said the slot canyon gets so small you have to turn sideways and inch your way through.
Oh, see, come on.
Yeah. If you're claustrophobic, it might not be for you.
Or if you had a meatball sub for lunch like I did. You ain't fitting through the... No, I'm glad I didn't do that then. That would have been my own fault. Let's see when those helicopters come and stick me. They just give
I think that would ruin the trip.
A little stick of butter and just push me through. Keep it right here. Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
Check us out online, unscaledtravelshow.com, for all of our past episodes and interviews, including our past episodes about Bryce Canyon National Park, Capitol Reef National Park. Yeah, we're on like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We're kind of a big deal.
In some regions.
I was about to say, what are you about to say?
In some circles, we're a big deal.
There you go. My family doesn't acknowledge me anymore. I stopped making the family Christmas card. The Christmas letter. You know.
But you know who loves us? We are 2-time award winners.
Yes. We have repeated as the best talk radio show at the IMIRA Awards for 2025 and now 2026.
What's up?
Woo, us 2-time award winners. Wow. Yeah. Anyway,
somebody likes us.
Someone likes us somewhere. So enough of me patting myself on the back. We're talking. I was like, "What are we talking about?" We're talking about that. Oh, so we're talking about this chunk of southern Utah, right? That you and I just started calling the Wild Corridor because it's really Scenic Byway 12, which is beautiful in its own right, just a reason to go out to this part of southern Utah. But it connects so many outdoor adventures all together that really putting it all together over the course of several days is what you need to get the most out of this area. And it's one of these places that just keeps calling to outdoor. What are you doing? You're playing around with stuff. She's dropping papers over. It keeps calling to outdoor adventurers again and again and again. And so, people are tired of me saying how beautiful this place is. So they want to know probably what we did when we were out there. Now, we've talked just about leaving paved roads and just hitting trailheads and missing out on slot canyons because we didn't know what we were looking at the moment and all of that. But we did start our adventure with the UTV ride. I mentioned the UTV rides a couple of times because we started with Rome Outdoor Adventure Company. And that was courtesy of our friends over at Bryce Canyon Country. Bryce Canyon Country is kind of the nickname for Garfield County, Utah, which is that entire area I think I've mentioned. But it's also kind of like a tourism arm for them. So they're very active in getting people to come to the area and check it out, and they're doing a really great job. So thank you so much to Bryce Canyon Country for having us out on this adventure. But we did the Grand to Bryce Overlook UTV tour with Rome Outdoor Adventures. And number one, amazing. Yeah. I had so much fun. Now, we've done a UTV tour before in like Aruba. Great time.
Yes.
This totally different feel.
Yes, absolutely.
And I say this with no shame in my voice. I recommend this 1,000% because it was so much fun.
It was a lot of fun. And if listeners want to see some of the footage from our trip, we did put some of the video up on our Instagram, and it's mainly when I'm driving and Jeremy is the passenger. So just know that he's complaining about my driving.
I was being a very good passenger princess.
He was yelling that we were leaning, but we were driving on a sideways road. Like we were at a tilt. So
a sideways road.
What did you want me to do? Go off the road onto the...
No.
Into the wilderness?
No. Down the cliff into the wilderness. So this doesn't take you... I think you meet in Bryce Canyon City?
I think we met in Tropic.
We met in Tropic. That's right. You meet in Tropic, and usually it's like 6 or 7. It's not a very big group of people, but they don't take you into Bryce Canyon National Park. You kind of take some back roads to the outside, like further into it. You get to see around Bryce Canyon.
Up to a scenic overlook down into Bryce Canyon.
Yes, to a scenic overlook that a lot of people never get to see.
Yeah.
Which is really cool because you have one set of vistas to your west and another set to your right, which is to the east, which essentially would be Bryce Canyon, like the outer parts of Bryce Canyon. It was so just awesome to do.
It really was.
Our guide was fun, young guy, and he gave us a lot of history and everything. But this wasn't like a slow little drive either.
No.
We were hauling butt.
We were. And you and I were in the middle of the pack, and the guide and the people in front of us, they took off. They took off, and we had two UTVs behind us, which was a family split up in between two UTVs. And they were even farther behind us. So we were kind of in the middle. And at one point, we were like, were we supposed to turn? Because we didn't see anybody in either direction. Yeah. But thankfully there were no turns. We just stayed on the dirt path we were on. But I think that's when it first started getting a little bit tilted. And you were not a fan. You were not a fan of being at a 90-degree angle.
When you don't have to reach out the window to touch the ground, that's when I was like, okay. I'm looking at dirt. I'm like counting ants, and it was fine. No, it was so much fun.
These things go like 65 miles an hour.
The family behind us had like some like preteen kids, probably 11, 12 years old or whatever. I mean, they were screaming and yelling. They were having a great time. Fun. It was just a total blast out there. So, I mean, that's how we kicked everything off. So when you start an adventure that way, not only with the drive in because it's so, beautiful, but then you started off like that.
High octane.
Yeah. So like you would think like, okay, well now everything's downhill from here because like you said, it's such an adrenaline rush. And then like, what else can you do? Like, no, we found all kinds of adventures, including Lower Calf Creek Falls.
Yes.
Which I think was our very next thing to do.
Yeah. We had heard about this hike to Southern Utah's highest waterfall. I think it's about 125 feet high. And I mistakenly had heard that it was only 3 miles round trip. No, incorrect. It was 3 miles one way. But I was like, yeah, let's go do it. It sounds fun. They said it's not a strenuous hike. What they didn't say is it's a moderate strenuous hike, which we didn't know until we were well on our way into it. But saying that, I would not say it's a hike that is only limited to skilled hikers. I think anybody could do it. You just need to be prepared. It did get hot.
Unlike we.
Yeah, we were not prepared because we thought it was going to be a short little like easy walk, and it was more than that. But I would say at one point I know you were kind of like hating me for asking.
Not hate. Hate is a strong word. But I was throwing like leaves and sand at you.
But when we got to the waterfall,
just pouting.
We got to the waterfall, and your whole demeanor changed.
Yeah,
and you were like totally worth it.
And we had Chief with us, which is great. Our adventure dog Chief. It's a public trail, and I mean, I think you pay to park or something like that. Yeah. It's like $5, but he got to go with us, which was fantastic. And he was looking back at us like, what is wrong with you guys? Why have you taken me out here?
But he loved the waterfall.
He loved the waterfall. It's just so gorgeous. Too beautiful to put into words. So again, you can check out our Instagram and everything that we did. It's amazing, right? We'll have more. I promise you. Keep it right here.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Jeremy Long here with my co-adventurer, Amy.
Hello.
We're in Sin City, Las Vegas in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We talk about these day trips off the wild corridor. I like that. I hope it catches on. It's just what I call it, but, Maybe they will. Maybe
Maybe
we'll see it pop up in a
You
pamphlet.
start putting it all over social media, and then somebody else will take credit for it.
There you go. That's fine. I know in my heart what I did. But the day trips from there, we were talking about Lower Calf Creek, and some people might not understand about why it's this. I mean, it's a pretty, I mean, there's only slight elevation gains. I think maybe a couple 100 feet in elevation gains for Lower Calf Creek Falls. But that's not really the part that makes it strenuous so much. So it's like a big portion of the path is sand.
Yes.
It's that soft sand.
Very
too.
soft sand that you sink into.
Oh, man. That's when, as soon as we hit that, I was like, oh, this is going to be.
And there's chunks of it that are not shaded. And then there's other parts that are fully shaded. So you kind of get, it feels like multiple trails.
Yeah.
In one trail, because we were walking through parts that's right next to the creek, and then other parts were kind of up in the rocks. It was a really great hike. You just have to be prepared for the time commitment and the heat and the lack of shade in areas. I think that's the part we weren't, because it was kind of late in the day too. We were like,
we got there
this
late in
sounds
the
like
day.
an easy hike. Let's go do this.
And it wasn't even necessarily a hot day. And this is where, I think we started off talking about how it's adventure for different levels. This is something that I think the weather, day, timing, all of that could affect whether this goes from a medium style walk to an absolute slog for some people.
Yeah.
If you're not prepared for it, because there were shade trees spread out throughout the trail that you could tell. I mean, people have kind of made an area that I think people would probably get under there and have a sandwich or something like that, which is good. But you're walking along this creek, and it's almost like walking through the desert. Like, it's almost like a mirage. You can hear water, and it's beautiful. And there's all kinds of they had the numbering system that had different points of interest. The pamphlet at the beginning of the trailhead shows you, like, hey, adventurers came out here, explorers came out here years ago and found this, or these kind of trees do this, it's that kind of stuff. But when you're out there, you're like, it's getting kind of warm. During different stretches, you're like, it's getting a little warm. Hopefully I brought enough water. And then, like you said, you reach the waterfall and you're just like, wow, this was worth it. I love life again. I'm going to stop throwing these twigs at Amy's hair,
And it's considerably cooler at the waterfall than the rest, because it's kind of down almost in a little bit, not a cave, but it is surrounded by rocks.
Yeah. It's almost in its own little surrounded thing. So it's like, I want to say at least 20 degrees lighter. And you got the spray of the water from, I guess, Calf Creek.
Yes.
And the dog loved it so much. He ran straight to and he's not a water dog. Even though he's a Labrador Retriever mix, he is not a water dog. He does not like water. And he ran over to the water and plopped himself down in the mud. Remember that? He had mud all over the side of half of his face. He was so happy to be there.
He was. It truly was like, okay, this was worth it.
Yeah.
I was hesitant to turn around and go back, but actually going back didn't feel as bad because we had cooled off.
You were like, okay, it's time to go. And I was like, no, 10 more minutes. But then there's, like we said, there's all kinds of areas, the more popular ones. We mentioned Zebra Slot, the Zebra Slot Canyon, which is an extremely popular hike, because they have like a little kind of makeshift parking lot. There were a number of vehicles there, so people were out doing it. But then Peekaboo Gulch is another one, or some people call it like Peekaboo, what is it, Peekaboo Canyon?
I think so.
Yeah, I believe so.
There were so many different things like that there. I feel like every website we look at or every pamphlet we got just listed new ones. And you're like, how do you even pick what you want to do? Yeah.
And it's all within like a little short drive, depending on where you're at. So whether you're staying in Tropic or if you're staying in Escalante or around these towns or whatever, everything's going to be just a little bit of a drive, and that's how it should be.
Right.
But they have, even the other state parks that are around there. I think there's a Petrified Forest State Park that's right outside of Escalante, near Ofland Escalante, that we didn't even get to this time, that we had on our list. Like, okay, we're going to get out here and go see this one. And we just ran out of time.
Right. And the same with driving the Hell's Backbone scenic road that takes you over a single lane bridge. We wanted to do it. We just didn't have time.
That is one.
But we drove Scenic Byway 12, which at one point it does get a little bit, I don't know, a little bit concerning because you are pretty high up. It is just a little two-lane highway. There are no guardrails, and it is like a straight shot down. And you were driving, and I was in the passenger seat going, and I had made the mistake of looking over the side, and I was like, oh, I can't do that, because I was going to film it, and I was like, I can't even look down there. And then coming back, I was driving, and you were in the passenger seat, and you're like, Amy, look. And I'm like, I can't. I have to stay focused on what's in front of me, because it can be a little bit unnerving.
Yeah, and it'll disorient you fast. Because also out there, I mean, what's also great is like we saw all kinds of wildlife.
Yeah.
So even though it's like arid to begin with, and you have this beautiful Aztec red sandstone and all of that, like
it was
then
after Boulder, it turned into like
it gets green and it's foresty, and like we saw deer everywhere.
We did.
One was staring me down.
It started snowing. Here we were.
The deer? Oh, the weather. Yes, it did. I forgot about that. Yes, the weather did start. But did you?
I remember the deer. I remember the deer.
I have nightmares about this because he was like staring at me off the road, and I'm
You're driving. The deer's on my side of the highway, just watching us, and you're like, "Did you see that deer?" I'm like, "Yes, I saw."
Stared at me. He was looking into my soul, man. Like, hey, bro. You need to slow down on these curves.
But I feel like there were scenic overlooks like every couple of miles because it's just so beautiful. They encourage you to pull over and take a picture. And we
kept stopping
multiple times.
Yeah. It took us forever to get to Capitol Reef because we kept pulling over and stopping at these overlooks because it's just so gorgeous.
It was.
Keep it right here. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
Shout out to Diamondback Land Surveying for keeping this 2-time award-winning show on the road to adventure. We love those guys. Trent, Lisa, Keenan. Awesome people. I know they actually used to have a cabin out near Duck Creek, which isn't too far away from the Wild Corridor, as I call it. So they know the area well, and when I told them where we were headed, Trent was like, oh, man, that's one of my favorite places.
Yeah.
So really happy, and really, honestly, you know, we're chatting about the deer. That just haunts my waking moments. Okay, we won't get too much into that because it kind of freaks me out. It was
just a deer.
That's what scares me because I don't think it was. But you go along this seemingly it's not that far. Like the entirety of Scenic Byway 12 is not that far.
No, it's not.
Although it does take a couple hours to complete, mainly because it winds with the land.
It does.
It's how it's supposed to be, like the old Route 66 or Highway 89 that we have a whole episode about. You know, it just kind of weaves with the land like it's supposed to, and they have the arches. That you can drive through. That's from your favorite movie. Cars. And all of that. But it takes you through the beautiful Aztec red sandstone to these high, mountains and all the way through. So you get all these different like seasonal things all in the same day. Like we were sweating doing the lower Calf Creek hike. And then when we got on the road and we were headed toward Capitol Reef and we get into the mountains, it was snowing.
Yeah.
And we had to like put our jackets back on.
It was forest and it started snowing, and there were other animals that we saw just, it's the wilderness. There were animals out there, and there were multiple scenic overlooks, that whole area. And they have different kind of signage. One was talking about the animals that live in the forest. Another was talking about a lake or a reservoir that was out in front of us. They just really encourage you to get out of the car and take in the beauty of the location. And then there's just trailheads everywhere. Still, trailheads everywhere, up in the mountains, down in the desert. There's slot canyons all over the place. I mean, we mentioned one, but there's multiple slot canyons along that road, and just different scenic drives that you can go on. So whatever you're into, outdoorsy or even just a scenic drive, there's many things that you can do in this area.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes back to, like, you will have to plan your own adventure, because, you and I were chatting about this episode as one does before one gets in front of a microphone. And we were like, well, should we give them like our version of our itinerary? Should we do this? Should we do that? And it's really like, no, because what works for us might not necessarily work for you, but I think it's worth sitting down, whether you Google or whether you, even if you go to Ofland's webpage, you can go to Ofland, OFLAND.com, and they have things to do, like a list of things, and it's just like trails or drives, or you want waterfalls, we got waterfalls. Right. You want this, we got this, all kinds of stuff to do, even just planning that out. Or Bryce Canyon Country, they have tons and tons of like things to do, and plan out the adventure for you and your group and you and your family, because it really, I think to get the most out of it, you really do have to put at least a little bit of thought, a little bit of planning into it, because otherwise it'll take you forever if you're coming from Bryce Canyon to go to Capitol Reef, because like us, we stopped at we were going to every overlook. We were going to, we were considering every trail.
We were, yeah.
And so, after a while, that little 5 minutes here, 15 minutes there, that adds up.
It does. I mean, I would say we didn't do a good job of planning the trip, but that's kind of our thing. We plan a couple of things, and then the rest is like, let's just see what happens. But because of that, we do sometimes miss things that we want to do, which encourages us to go back and visit again. But I was very pleasantly surprised, and I know I keep saying that, but I was very pleasantly surprised by how many things there were to do in this area. I honestly thought, we're going to this place, it sits between two national parks, that's kind of the whole deal, right? No, the national parks are just kind of perks. There's so many other things to do. Like, you could avoid those and still have a very full, adventurous vacation.
Including one of your favorite things that we just kind of stumbled upon, that once you're out there, it becomes that place. Like, you start seeing it pop up on Instagram and TikTok and everything else, but it's a wonderful place to just stop and get a chai latte, or, be very presumptuous in your North Face vest.
Patagonia.
Your Patagonia, everything. But that's the Kiva Coffee House.
Yeah, yeah.
And it instantly becomes one of your favorite stops.
Yes. I had never heard of it, but you had seen pictures of it on social media before. But we were driving on the highway, and all of a sudden there's these big letters that kind of blend into the rocks behind it, because I would say the beauty of Kiva is that they are not trying to stand out. They are trying to blend in and give you an incredible view with your cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So we actually missed it the first time we drove by. We saw the letters and we were like, oh, that was the drive, but there was really nowhere to turn around.
Nowhere safe.
So we made a point to go back the next day and have coffee and breakfast there. And if you've never seen this or heard of it, it is a coffee house that's kind of built into the side of this cliff, I guess. And the overlook is the canyon below you. And they have a wall of windows, and then they also have an outside patio, which we chose to sit at. We got the prime seat to take pictures with the canyon behind us.
Everyone was leaning over our table trying to take pictures. And they're like, oh, is it okay? And we're like, $5. $5 a picture as you lean over my avocado toast. So.
Your avocado
but
toast.
I mean, we liked it so much that we went back the last day. And from Ofland Escalante, where we were staying, it's about 35 minutes.
Yeah.
I've never driven 35 minutes for coffee. I would leave right now from Vegas and drive 5 hours and go get some coffee at Kiva Coffee House. Yeah.
And they even have a cottage, I believe, that you could rent. That's below the coffee house.
You absolutely can. This 1 or 2 bedroom cottage. and it's reasonably priced. So if anyone wants to look that up, check it out. When we come back, I'm going to chat with Noah Ellis, the CEO of Ofland Escalante. Get real personal, or not. We'll keep it to travel. Okay, keep it right here. Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here. You know, we've been chatting all episode about me and Amy's adventures in southern Utah and the amazing time that we had at Ofland Escalante. And we enjoyed it so much that I felt compelled. I felt something in the ether. I needed to reach out to the CEO of Ofland Hotels at Escalante, Noah Ellis. Noah started in hospitality at just 13 years old, washing dishes like we all do in Buffalo, New York, then spent the next 2 decades working through restaurants and hospitality operations in Las Vegas and LA before moving into boutique hotels. And since then, he's overseen the growth and rebrand of Ofland Escalante in southern Utah. Hospitality is a beautiful industry. Noah, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Man, you know, for people hearing about Ofland Escalante for the first time, what exactly is this property? What exactly is this place?
So we like to think about ourselves just as a boutique hotel that happens to be kind of outdoor oriented. I mean, I think there's a lot of talk about, you know, glamping and landscape hotels and all this stuff, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's not our place to, you know, correct the verbiage or, you know, dictate the verbiage that our guests use. But we really sort of see a lot of parallels to boutique hotels from, you know, 25, 30 years ago, where it's very much a sense of place and it's kind of, you know, an inch wide, a mile deep. You're not offering everything to everyone, especially not at a mediocre level. We're going to focus on a handful of things that we think are really critical to the experience. And we're really going to do those as deeply and as thoughtfully and intentionally as we possibly can to execute, you know, a great guest experience. This hotel has iterated since we opened in March of 2021. It sort of started as a more upscale RV park that had this glamping component, and, you know, over time our thesis has changed, and as the sort of hotel glamping component really punched above its weight and the RV component didn't, we realized people really love this kind of hotel experience where they don't have to bring an RV, they don't have to camp, they get air conditioning and showers and, you know, all of the amenities you'd expect and safety you'd expect from a hotel. But they get access to, and they're in the outdoors. And, you know, southern Utah, all of Utah is just absolutely gorgeous. But southern Utah is really, I think, really, really, really something special. I mean, just the drive from, you know, Las Vegas, and you see, depending on which route you take, you see sort of like 4 totally different planets almost. And there's something really special about that journey and then arriving there. And, you know, it's such a great base camp for Bryce Canyon National Park, you know, Capitol Reef National Park, all the state parks. And then we're in the monument, which is, you know, over 1 million acres and just full of hiking trails and great things to do.
So when you have friends visit the area for the first time, where do you usually tell them to go first? What's the things at the top of the list? Like, hey, you can't miss this, this, and this.
I have friends. No,
I'm making a big assumption there, man.
Wow. Okay. Hypothetically, I really think some of the greatest hits, you know, I love, especially in summer, I love Lower Calf Creek Falls. I think the hike's a little kind of arduous in that it's kind of a sandy grind, but it's sort of the perfect kind of picnic. You know, you hit the 3 miles, you get into water that's way too cold, you feel refreshed, you eat a little something, you hike back. I think honestly doing the drive there is really terrific. You know, there's like this moment on that drive where all of a sudden the landscape totally changes yet again. And it's kind of like being on the moon. And that's really, really neat. Kiva Coffee, if you're not feeling the hike, is just absolute. I mean, that's got to be like one of the most beautiful coffee shops in the
Absolutely.
world, right? Like I talk to my friends in hospitality who've been there, and our thing is just like, if you were trying to do like a 3 Michelin star coffee shop or whatever, like there would be no better location to pick it, to drop it than literally what they've got there. And they do an amazing job. I think in town, you got to eat pizza at Outfitters. I think that's really important. There's great hikes at Kodachrome. Really, I mean, to me, it really depends on, are you thinking more about driving? Or are you thinking more about hiking? What do you want to see? Or like kind of what's your adventure threshold? And then how many days do you have is really the question. Because the really cool thing about that, our location is, I mean, I want to say if you spent a week with us, you could do something very different, 1 or 2 hikes a day for an entire week. And really, I don't think you'd be tired, but I don't think you'd be bored at any point.
What do you think travelers are looking for now that maybe traditional hotels and camping experiences alone weren't really giving them, where you guys kind of filled in the gaps?
Yeah, I don't want to like disparage anything that anyone is doing. I think,
Yeah, sure.
there are a million ways to skin the cat, right? I think, for us, the real testament is, or, I guess barometer, right? To some degree, it's been a testament so far, and we're still working on it, is do people want to come back and stay with us again? Because, the United States is just stunning. I mean, there is so much beautiful nature in the U.S., starting with the national parks and ending with just random beautiful places that are scattered throughout the entire country. I mean, not just the continental U.S. And so there's no, if you are sort of an adventure traveler, a bucket list traveler, whatever you want to call it, there's really very little incentive to go back to the same place again when, you can just go see something new. And I think, then you layer on this like hotel or hospitality component. And if you go to a really cool place and the hotel is fine or really interesting, but, there's a big difference between like interesting and comfortable, or there's, things that make you think and things that make you happy. Right. And, we try to be at the latter side of that. You might say like, this was a really great experience. I'm so glad I did it. I don't know if I'm going to go back, or I'm going to move on to the next thing. And for us, the goal is, can the hospitality experience be good enough where you want to actually come back? It's okay. Sure, I could go to Zion next time. I could go to the Grand Canyon, or I could go to Flagstaff or Sedona. I mean, if you're coming from, say, the Vegas market, right, or Joshua Tree, I have all these options, but and in almost all those options, there's more to do than you can accomplish in one trip. But, we've got all these options in Southern Utah, and also the hotel was really great. And, in a lot of these properties, a lot of these locations, there's not necessarily great hospitality options, right? I mean, they're rural. It's hard to do business there. So there's, maybe 1 or 2, some have more that are a little bit more commercial. But, I think the real key for us is like, you just have to make people happy. Like every guest should leave happier than when they arrived. And, it's kind of one of those simple but not easy things, but we're just focused on that. We have an awesome team out there. And, my sort of continuous directive, or some might say nagging, message is just make people happy. Just like do the right thing and make people happy.
When do you think that area of Southern Utah is at its best? Is there a time of the year? Is there a certain like day or itinerary where you look at from morning to night? This is like the perfect way to experience Southern Utah in this kind of area that we're ensconced in.
Yeah, I think, it depends on where you're coming from. That actually does make a big difference, right? If you're coming from Salt Lake in the north, or a cooler climate, then, summer is like the middle of summer is definitely less ideal, right? Because you're running into the heat. If you're coming from Las Vegas or Phoenix, the heat's not as bad. I think May is really, really beautiful. I think the weather's kind of perfect, right? I mean, because you're at altitude, so like the sun hits you pretty hard. So I love May. I really love September though. Like I think late September is just absolutely stunning, where you start moving into fall. The days are still nice and warm. The nights are cool. kind of every hike in the world is available to you. It follows, what's kind of monsoon season, which is in August. So everything kind of, you're transitioning into fall, but also everything is lush and green, and there's all this like life to that part of the world. So that to me, like late September, I think mid to late September is about as good as it gets there for me coming from Las Vegas.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Check us out online, unscaledtravelshow.com. Thanks to our sponsor, Diamondback Land Surveying, here with Amy.
Hello.
There you go. Thank you so much again to Noah Ellis, CEO of Ofland Escalante. And thank you so much to Ofland for hosting us, having us out, reaching out to us saying, hey, you guys, you kind of seem like goobers, but we'd love to, we'd love to have you out, you and your silly little show. And, we took them up with that offer, and, we're so glad that we did. And, while I'm saying it, thanks again to Bryce Canyon Country, Rome Outdoor Adventure Company, for everyone kind of came together to help us experience this amazing stretch of southern Utah firsthand.
And what are you calling this area? Utah's
Wild Corridor.
Wild Corridor.
I want that on a button.
Yes. Okay. I'll make you a button.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you have, obviously the Scenic Byway is one part of it. You have all these incredible national parks, and just a little bit further away, you even have Zion and things like this. So it's this incredible base to go see all of this other stuff, but after, my chat with Noah, and obviously we chatted for longer than the 10 minutes that we just had. So, go on Unscaled Travel Show. You get the full interview. We cover a lot, in a very short amount of time. Noah really knows his stuff, but one thing is really perfectly clear. Nobody is trying to turn this part of Utah into like Las Vegas with hiking boots. They have no intention of making it a 5-star Marriott property out there and like, let's get rid of all this pesky nature and put in something else. No, Ofland lets the main attraction be the main attraction.
Right. Yeah.
And that's, I think, my favorite part about my stay there is that while it was very comfortable and they have a lot of really cool amenities like a drive-in movie theater and stuff like that, they were never like, "Ooh, we want you here all day."
Right. Yeah.
They were like, "No. This is the adventure is out there. We just want to make sure that when you come back after a long day of hiking and UTVing and canyoneering and all this other stuff, that you have an incredible place to rest your head." Right. Yeah. So that you can get up the next morning and get the heck out of here. Grab some food at the food truck that they have, which is incredible. And then get the heck out of here and go create more memories.
It was a really great base. And a lot of people we saw did, when they were done with their day, came back and they had the community fire pits where people were hanging out. And then every cabin and the Airstreams all had their own fire pits. And you and I took advantage of ours. Yeah. And they even have s'more kits that you can get and do s'mores at your own fire pit.
So much fun.
It almost like brings out the kid in you again. Like you're camping, but you're camping like a grown up.
Yeah. They had even if you don't want to say go to the store and bring food there or do whatever, which you totally can. They have these do-it-yourself meal kits that they bring all the stuff to you. You grill steaks, you get some chicken, or whatever you want. They have vegetarian stuff too for those people. But like all of that fun in that area, and then when you and I were sitting out there and we were grilling our food and just waiting for everything to be ready, did you notice how many stars we're out.
I noticed some. We happened to be there when there was a full moon, so it was super bright. But I can imagine when it's not a full moon, you really get to see the sky.
Right. I woke up at one point. It was like 3 a.m. I thought somebody left a sign on or something. I was like, I didn't notice a sign when we drove in, and you were like, well, what are you walking around the room for? And I looked out the window, and it was the moon.
Right. It was so bright.
And so I had to ask Noah about, this dark sky designation around this area, because it seems like everyone, all the towns, the national parks, everyone is in on this, and they don't want to spoil a good thing. I think one of the big things that you don't hear too much about that we kind of rediscovered while we were there were the dark skies. How at night it just turns into like a totally different world, because you can see the entire universe, and the moon is so bright. It's amazing how clear the skies are in that part of the country.
It is. And when there's no moon, it's absolutely insane. I mean, with the naked eye, like what you're seeing, it's like when I was a kid going to the planetarium, and it's like with the naked eye, you're seeing everything. Like it is so stunning, there. And there's a handful of spots in the U.S. that are like that, but that is certainly one. I mean, at that elevation with the clear sky and with like no light pollution, it's insane what you can see with your naked eye.
And so that's another part of it, is I didn't even consider that when I was getting sunburn, staring at the moon. I was like, when it's no moon out here, this place must look wild.
Yeah. So dark because there wasn't any like street lights or things like that. And the few lights that they did have out there were all turned down towards the ground to not cause, as he was saying, light pollution. So you do get that true, like, see the stars experience that you don't get when you live in the city. And even though it's only a few hours from us, we don't get that here. Because Vegas,
the stars are manufactured here. They're manufactured here. They don't want you looking at the sky. They want you betting at the tables and whatever. Everything has its place. But like, even walking around, and you and I with Chief or whatever, and we just noticed all the families out there. It wasn't just one type of outdoor person or whatever. It wasn't just the Subaru drivers. It was all kinds of people, and they were just. You didn't see a whole lot of phones and things. You saw people sitting around campfires.
Yeah.
You saw people, they even have a pool. Like people, even if they were at the pool or at the hot tub, people were just enjoying, like reconnecting with not only nature, I think, and I'm getting a little waxing poetically here, but like, I think they were like reconnecting with other people.
Yeah. I mean, we saw older couples. We saw people with little children. We saw older children, like families with older children, and there were just some like groups of adults out there. A few cabins down from us, it was a couple of guys, and they had brought their own UTVs, so they were obviously having UTV
I forgot about those
adventure.
Guys. Yeah.
There was another couple. They were, I would call them hardcore hikers, because we saw them in the evening, and they were talking about all the hikes that they had done that day. But it's kind of a little bit of everybody, and extremely dog friendly place. Like they welcome the dogs anywhere. They said we could bring our dog into the little store. Like they had dogs, so we were able, because he's our little travel buddy. So it was nice to go somewhere where they welcome your pet, and you don't feel like you have to keep him.
Not only welcome, they just encouraged it.
Yeah,
they were like, "What do you mean?" When I was like kind of going back and forth, I don't know if we're going to bring him or whatever, because national parks aren't the most friendly dog places, with good reason and all that, but they were almost like, if you don't bring your dog, you can't come. So we had so much fun, and Chief had a great time. And even in their little communal areas right by the food truck, they had fire pits that people were sitting around at night. And these aren't groups of people that were all together. These were just strangers just talking and just hanging out around the fire. And I never thought, honestly, growing up, I never thought I'd be one of those people. In fact, I actively shied away from...
You still kind of actively shy away.
I kind of still do. But there's something about like a dark sky and a fire pit, and all of a sudden you're
Right.
just telling strangers, like, oh, I never knew my father, stuff like that, and like everyone's crying and weeping, or the opposite of that, and everyone's got like
Everyone has a drink in their hand.
everyone's got either a drink or a s'more or something like that, and we're all having a good time, and that's. At the end of the day, that's how I kind of explain my trip to people,
It was so much fun. And you and I, even when we were down just on at our cabin, the very last night, I was looking out the window because the front of our cabin was all windows. And we were like, what is that? And it was a family of deer had walked down from the hill across the street and walked over right in front of our cabin. And we're just hanging out there. And we walked out on the porch and we were filming them and taking pictures. And it's such a really... The whole area is just such a really neat place because you have all these different types of ecosystems, as you were saying, and then all the different wildlife, and you can kind of get multiple adventures in one.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the best part of Utah's wild corridor.
So many small moments that really add up to an incredible adventure that we had in southern Utah. So thank you once again, Ofland Escalante, Bryce Canyon Country and Roam Outdoor Company. We had such a great time. We'll see you guys.